becoming a ritual.
Here we go for my haters. Like and subscribe.
Please, please, please. I beg of you. I beg of you.
Unless you're a hater, then like and subscribe.
I feel like that is how the internet is. Like, the more people that don't like you are that's who's watching you.
People just want to be seen. Just want to be seen and heard. That's all it is. Do you see negative comments? Just say, oh, wow, they really want to be seen.
And you know what I'll do to you? I'll delete you. Your comment will be,
you're gone.
See you later. You want attention? No. Positive comments only. Those are the only ones that stick on our videos.
We're a positive group. We don't really get negative comments, though.
No.
100 subscribers. That's pretty cool.
Pretty good.
105, I think it was at. We're taking over. We're coming for you. We're infecting your souls.
Yeah, I think that's what's, I don't know, cool is hopefully with that. I think why that matters is just because then it pushes it out to more people. It's like, obviously, we don't want to do a podcast and just no one listens. Who would want to do that?
Yeah.
But we also want people that are, it's like, yeah, if you can listen and you get 2% benefit from it or enjoyment out of it or information that's going to better you, that's why we want to do it. So if more people can get that, that is the goal.
Yeah. We just have to practice on saying that more excitingly and not like we're falling asleep.
True.
Like, subscribe. Be a part of the community.
How's the new mic stand?
I'm going to do the whole podcast like this.
Why is it doing that?
Because we haven't gotten sandbags yet.
Good thing we live by a beach. I can't believe you have to fill it with your own sand. I don't know why. I just assumed it would come pre-filled, but also think of how heavy that package would be.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The shipping you'd have to pay.
That's probably exactly why I didn't think of that. Yeah, that's got to be it.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be heavy.
Oh yeah. We're upgrading. Better mic stands. Better visual.
I don't know if I can be on the train of they're better yet, but they are portable.
Oh my God, they're 10 times better to me.
I think what would make it better is if this was weighted, because this is just, I think, gonna irritate me.
I don't have the same problem of mine falling down, I don't think. So I don't know why yours is.
Yours is also a little bit lower than mine. Like,
oh, yeah, maybe.
Like, I feel like your chair is just also lower, so your whole thing doesn't need to, like, the leverage that mine needs, just because I'm up higher, is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think you're also more fine with the, like, talking down to it, to where I want my neck to be
You want everybody to see your neck?
straight. It's like, I can see from the side, and you're like, you're curved,
Well,
city.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
My voice, like, my throat starts to hurt when I talk like that. Like, when I do awards,
Really?
I'm talking down onto the mic and I'm reading, and my voice will start to get funky. I think because I'm not proper position.
What are you most looking forward to going to?
Back into it?
Getting the season started.
I really like the intensity of that work environment, that life, the traveling, the, like, it's go, go, go a lot. Like, the weekend is you are nonstop. But this being the second year of teaching with the little ones, getting to teach them twice now, and I'm excited about the songs that I'm doing and what I think I'm going to try to portray within the classes this year.
You're such a kid. I'm excited about the songs.
Well, because I wanted to, the theme of our tour, I wanted to try to bring that into the classroom.
Yeah, that's smart.
And I think the song, one of the songs that I'm using and how I'm going to present it, I think is it, like, it's not necessarily like it has to be this emotional thing. It's not that at all. I think the reason I love kids and why I think they're so awesome, I think this theme and what I'm going to talk about in my classes like really celebrates that and like brings that to a forefront. I don't think I'm going to be talking about it in a traditional way that I'm excited to bring that to the kids, bring that to the classroom, but then also for teachers that are there and parents that are there to like give an opportunity to highlight another reason why their kids are great examples for them. And to do that in a dance class is just cool.
Yeah. See, here's the difference between us. You want to talk about that. I want to talk about how I have 4 left, and then it's all over.
So.
I'm very much a like, get a package of 6 donuts, eat them all in a day, don't have them for a month.
Sure.
You know?
But are you getting concerned that like there's only 5 left?
No.
Oh, got it.
No, there's only 4.
4 left. Sure, 4 left.
Are you concerned? No, not at all, but there's only 4 left. No, I don't have that personality. I just don't.
Yeah.
Are you worried about it with me?
No.
Yeah.
I just know if I was
Stephen?
If I was in your shoes, I would be worried about myself.
Oh.
Because I'm the opposite of you.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with these too that I don't like is like, you got to get 15 of them. I don't want these lingering around the house. Like, I don't even want to get it just to like have every so often.
What do you mean?
Like, I want to just like get one. You know, it's like when we go get ice cream, we like go get a little Ben and Jerry's and we share that. I want it gone. I don't want it in the house for a long time because I will continue to have it.
I think that's how people, like some people drink. Like they will only drink out. They don't have alcohol in the house.
Yeah. Well, it's like at the wedding. Like I had a cigar. I like that you can go
Buy
purchase
singular,
individual ones. You know, I like being able to just have the fun the once and then move along.
My cheap brain can't think that way.
Just getting one.
Yeah, because I'm like, it would be cheaper to buy a bulk of this.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to buy a bottle of whiskey than to go get a glass of whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
for
it's
sure.
not cheaper, but
well,
it's like you're going to spend $12 on 2 shots of whiskey out, maybe even more than that. It's like you can buy a bottle for $25.
Right. And you'll have like way more over time
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. These have got to be bad for you. They are, actually. I looked it up. They can increase blood pressure and like receding gums. Like this is even just the nicotine ones. Like this is just what nicotine can do.
Sure.
It's not like tobacco. Because like they talk about all the brain benefits and stuff. And it's like, sure, in small doses and stuff. But if you're a habitual user and you use it for long periods of time, there's a ton of bad side effects.
Yeah.
Your artery walls can start to harden. And like you get mouth irritation, receding gums, and obviously the addictiveness to it. You know what the other thing that was weird is a cigarette. You tend to only get about 1/10, consume about 1/10 of the nicotine from a cigarette, which is only about 1 milligram. So putting one of these in, you get way more nicotine than having a cigarette. 3 times as much with these 3 milligram ones. This is the Zen era. This is the nicotine era. And then once this is gone, I'm never going to deal with it again. This is a moment in time of the podcast.
For you. I think even just like culturally, we always have these things. Like we always have fads of things that are what is the stimulant at the time? That I wonder if other countries have that. Like what we talked about in the last podcast. Like our country is so achieve the most, feel like it's the heightened version of everything.
Oh, yeah.
That it's like, well, why do you need your brain to function differently? Like coffee. It's like, why do you need to feel amped? And I think it's because we push our life so crazy more than we need to. So then we need things to, like, that's something I was actually thinking about yesterday. That is a negative, like, lifestyle that I almost have like a nostalgic positive feeling about is like pushing yourself hard, but then having everything else be a little like you're not as on top of it. Like, think of food. We're very picky with our nutrition, and we don't really go off the rails that much. And like our version of going off the rails is probably not that crazy, even compared to what we used to do.
Yeah.
That as soon as the schedule gets a little bit more hectic, or if I feel like I'm like pushing it to my limit, then it's like, oh, but if you go get something for food, there's like a different feeling of I don't have any of the guilt. I don't have any of the, oh, it's not healthy for me thing, because it's like, this is fueling my pushing it. Like, it feels like, oh, I'm struggling, so these are things that I'm not going to care about because I'm only caring about pushing it. Like, that was my whole childhood. I can have Taco Bell and have McDonald's and eat like shit because my schedule is crazy and I'm pushing my body physically.
It's bandwidth.
But it's like a weird negative reward system.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and I think we're
like, it feels good not to care.
Yeah. Yeah. When we're kind of semi-tricked into that of like, you've earned that and deserve that. You've earned to relax in other areas and chill out, whatever.
It like fuels the crazy. It's like, I'm living a crazy push it life, so I'm going to eat crazy and I'm going to have crazy amounts of caffeine because it's crazy.
When in reality, like, you need to be more dialed in on that stuff to benefit the most out of it. Like, you need to have your nutrition even better and literally even more nutritious, and you need even more sleep and better sleep, and you need like more sunlight, or just like having the circadian rhythm be right. Yeah, I'm thinking about us in the conventions. It's like we're in a hotel from Thursday to Sunday.
Monday.
Yeah, that like we're inside, not seeing the sun, not outside. So I'm thinking of that. But I feel like for most people with jobs and work and stuff, it's that you're on that grind mode. It's like you need because it's so intense, you want to relax and chill on all the other things. But in reality, you need to be even more trying to be beneficial with the nutrition, the exercise, the sleep, the sunlight, like all of that kind of stuff. You need it more than you do when things are calm and chill and less stress and all of that kind of thing. Like, that does not, I want so much balance. Like, I want it to be very, I'm eating good, I'm exercising regularly, I'm working a normal amount, I want everything to be very balanced. We talked about this maybe on the podcast, but I think the other day I think we were on our walk. It's like, as life goes on, it seems more and more like the truths that keep coming to me is like consistency and simplicity. It's those two things that are just make me feel the most balanced and good and whatever. It's like, it's fun. It's for sure fun when the season comes along and it's crazy. And it's almost addictive. Like getting on the planes and going and working and doing all that stuff. It's so exciting and fun. And then when we aren't doing it, it's also fun to be more in the off season, like be chill and balanced and calm and whatever. And I think there's only a certain amount of RPMs that you can ride at when you're doing the crazy and going, like, you can only do that for so long. I mean, I've trained people that have those crazy jobs and are working 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week. And it's like, there's the excitement and you can tell there's like this addiction towards it, but all the other parts of their life are kind of a mess. And it's like, is that being able to observe that and see that, I'm like, that's not what I want. And I don't think this is like the best for people or them. So it's like, yeah, I'm really liking the simplicity of stuff. I want things to be simpler and not having to make so many decisions and not be all over the place and whatever. It's like, and then the consistency of just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, you want to get good at anything or you want progress in anything, it's just continue to do it over and over and over again and keep the consistency. Those two things, I'm like, that's where I have my focus at now.
my like smart brain agrees and wants that and does like have experiencing that. I do like that. I think I had to rewire myself to want that. Like, I don't think that's natural for me to want that. Like, I think I have wired myself to like the high speed, which I'm sure my version of high speed for most people is probably medium, medium speed. But
and I think part of it's probably the way that the dance world is. Like, it is high, intense, and at least the way that you approached it and you did it, you know, it was like you were going to school for 8 hours, then you were going to dance for 4, and it was like that repetitively over and over again. So you are, in a weird way, like you've gotten more comfortable with things being very, just like always doing something with stuff, and so it makes sense to me that like you like that and maybe are more comfortable in that environment.
And I think it's even further beyond the scheduling. It's like what things you're around with that kind of world. Like, we go to our work and it's like there's stages and it's bright lights and big music, and like the stimulus of those environments are pretty intense. And then it's like you're surrounded by that a lot. Or it's like, for this next city, like we're doing a photo shoot. It's like doing stuff like that where you're getting hair and makeup done and you're in front of cameras, and like the flashiness of that, like that is very common within my jobs.
Yeah.
Like, I was doing regular like photo shoots and video shoots as a kid. Like, that's just a part of that activity. I almost call it a sport, but like that activity. Mm-hmm. Like, you're performing in front of people and you're on stages and you're going to, like, you're wearing not like just a basketball jersey. It's like everything is very sparkly and big and crazy. It's like that is now your new level.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you get used to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I enjoy that in the burst that it is. But I also like the calm and the simplicity and the not high stimulus and that sort of thing. Like, I like what my brother and his wife do, of like, they have their normal jobs or whatever. They create the stimulus on their own. Like,
Sure.
Their job doesn't create that as much, maybe. I don't know. I guess I'd have to ask them. But at least the way that it seems like they operate and do stuff is they do a really good job of going on little vacations or going on little trips, even if it's just like driving somewhere and spending a night or a couple nights, and like they create that stimulus.
They go out to dinners and like go to cool places and go just get drinks.
I think that attracts me more, of like, I want my regular life to be more simple and balanced, and then I'll create the stimulus that, like, when I want it and when to do it.
I think I would need, I'm experiencing, like, I need practice formulating that on my own. And I still think it would take me time to deregulate to that. Like, that is not exciting enough for me.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's kind of the difference, is like, I'm not looking for the excitement. I'm looking for the balance and the simplicity.
Sure.
You're like, well, that's not exciting. I'm like, yeah, I'm not looking for that.
Yeah.
You're looking for the excitement.
Yeah.
So, and I think there's just that too. There's different types of people. So, like, it could be for you where that will just always be a little bit too boring and too monotonous and whatever, to where you're going to need more craziness to feel like you're getting the most out of life, or just getting the most out of whatever it is. That for me, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting the most out of life with it being very balanced and simple and whatever. I mean, it's just kind of the life that you're choosing in a way, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like, I only know this one, so it would take me a while to, I think, get used to not looking for that type of stimulus, and not like,
not thinking that I'm,
because even that becomes less, even that has became comfortable. Like, we were just at the wedding and like people giving speeches. It's like, for some people, this is nerve-wracking for them, or like that would be like talking in front of people is hard for people, or just like whatever. It's like, I do that. That's my job. My job is I'm on a stage, lights are on me. My voice is like volumized to people, and I have to make that not crazy or scary. Like, that is maintenance to me now. So if I need to like feel something, it needs to be more than that.
Yeah. Well, that's the Alex Honnold guy, the free climber without suspension and chains and all that kind of shit. Like, he doesn't get the stimulus unless he's like chancing death all the time.
Yeah.
And he's just a good example because I think he's one of the more popular ones of that, to where there's a ton of people that live that kind of life. They want, they need a high stimulus in order to like feel like they're getting fulfilled or getting something out of life. I'm very low stimulus.
Yeah.
I'm very low stimulus.
Well, that's why we were talking about weddings and events, and I think Carly said it too, but like, it's just, sometimes it's just fun to get dressed up.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't do that ever, like, that's fun.
Well, and I think I think there's a little bit of, you need to create special in order for special things to happen in life. Sometimes, there's something that Chris Bumstead, he's a bodybuilder, that he just won his 6th in a row of whatever category he's in, and he was on a Chris Williamson podcast, and he was talking about like, what would you tell your younger self with what you know now? And he said, like, I would tell myself, you're gonna be good, you're gonna
achieve great things.
Yeah, you're gonna achieve great things, so don't worry about that. Worry about, or like, try to be in the moment more, and all that cliche stuff, but like really trying to sit in the moments. Like, the big achievements that you think are going to make your life is not going to be what makes your life. Like winning the Olympia 6 times, like that right now seems like it's the best thing that could ever happen to you, and your most cherished times. Really what the most cherished times will be was like spending time with your family, having a kid and raising your kid, and like being with your wife and all that kind of stuff. It's those things. So I think there's something of, you need to, maybe not need, but I think for a lot of people, including myself, you want to create those special times of dressing up and going to a wedding, or like putting on a little bit nicer clothes to go to dinner, or like doing something out of the ordinary for it to be some sort of excitement and something. But you don't get to choose when these special moments happen. They happen organically. If you're trying to force special moments, that's not how it works. Like, the special moments are going to come in the times, and the things you're going to remember are going to be the things that, they're going to be the times that you didn't have any plan for that to happen. So it's like just trying to sit into those more. Like, I used to do that so much with like Christmas and getting together with those sorts of things. It's like, well, Christmas is supposed to be special, and you got to make this like this big deal and this big thing. If you want it to be special, you got to make it special. And it's like, no,
then it's such a letdown.
Yeah, and then it ends up being kind of a letdown, or it's like it doesn't meet that expectation, to where it's the 3 days before Christmas that was actually the most fun, because you weren't going, well, it's Christmas, it's got to be special. You're like, it's 3 days before Christmas, whatever. And then that ends up being the most fun night, because you're around the people that you want to be around, and you're just having fun and being silly and whatever happens. But so I think there's like a little bit of both. In order to get rid of the boredom, you maybe need to plan things and make things happen. But I think what really ends up sticking with you is the like getting your kids up and ready for school, and they do something funny and silly, and you're going to remember that forever. It's like, that's the point of life, or that's the special moments of life. It's not the big grand moment that you planned meticulously and it all came to fruition. My experience is, it's been that. So then hearing somebody else say that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's just even more true.
Yeah, I think there's a balance of both of that. Like, because I do think you also have to try to make some things special. Like, there's a lot of things that you could just go, I'm not gonna care. It's like we make a big deal out of Thanksgiving and 4th of July. We as adults could easily that's just another day and not do anything. Like, we don't have kids that like you want to kind of do the things, or the events are planned for kids, like going to parades, and like we could just pass by the day. But you can also make a choice of making them special. But I think the chokehold on it is the negative. Of like, well, I'm told that this should be a special thing. Like Christmas. I think most people would say Christmas is probably their thing, or like maybe someone's birthday or whatever. That I think when you put so much pressure on it, then you start to act weird.
Yeah.
You start to do things out of the ordinary, and different things start to come up. It's like, because you're putting so much pressure on this to be perfect, to where it's like, it's 4th of July. Any effort that I put in is fine.
Yeah,
it's Thanksgiving. Any effort we put in is fine.
You're trying to force it. You're trying to force it too much, and then it ends up not being... It's not meeting the expectation. That's probably what it is. You have an expectation that's not meeting that. But I do agree. Like, you have to do stuff to break up the monotony and the boredom and stuff like that. It's like, if you don't do things if you don't try to do anything ever, it's like, yeah, you're going to have a boring, depressed life. You got to try to spice it up sometimes.
Sure. Yeah, I think we have different bandwidths of that currently.
Yeah.
I think that hopefully will adjust as years go on, but it makes sense why we do.
With your coffee, I don't think we ended up getting into it at all what I had read, but so hot brewed coffee tends to bring up more of the antioxidants versus like a cold brew doesn't bring out as much. And also cold brew tends to be less acidic versus hot coffee is a little bit more acidic. So if you have gut problems, cold coffee is actually a little bit better than hot coffee, potentially.
That's weird because, okay, that's interesting.
But hot coffee also has more antioxidants. So that could also be more soothing or beneficial to the gut also with the warm beverage. It was also, they did a study of people holding like a hot cup of coffee versus a cold cup, and the people holding a hot cup of coffee tend to have a little bit better, like a little bit more coziness, calmness, like enjoyment out of, they tend to look at things a little bit more positively and that sort of thing because of like the feeling something warm and then like the internal warmth that they're feeling from it versus the cold coffee, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like just the mood difference of holding a hot beverage versus a cold beverage.
I could see that. Warm makes you feel like cozy and I'm settling into something.
Yeah.
Cold coffee's like, I'm about to do some shit. Like I'm about to tackle the day.
Cold brew tends to have, and that's what the specific of it too is, like it's cold brew versus hot brew, not like
cold coffee.
Yeah, or cold, like you run it through a coffee maker and it's hot and then you make it cold. The caffeine content, it's actually more in hot than it is in cold. So people who
That's crazy.
So people who drink cold brew tend to drink more cold brew because they're not getting as much caffeine versus with hot.
See, it's marketed as it's supposed to have more.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Cold brew is like, you're really going for it.
No.
Interesting.
No, well, and it might be you're really going for it because you end up consuming more of it. So you end up, in total, maybe have more caffeine because you're drinking more of it. But it was something between like 40 milligrams and 100 for cold brew and 60 milligrams and 100 for hot. So it's just like on average, hot coffee has more. And you tend to drink less of it, which I think is a positive because people tend to overconsume coffee to the point where they're now not drinking water and getting hydrated. Mm-hmm. So to me, I'm like, well, if you have a problem with consuming too much coffee, like going to hot might be better because you might feel the caffeine a little bit more. So then you're more willing to not drink as much. And then you can get to water and hydrate and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But the hot coffee has more antioxidants too. The heating it brings out more of the antioxidants. Which also makes me curious about food, like between raw vegetables or uncooked food versus cooked food. I wonder if the same thing tends to happen. You bring out a little bit more antioxidants because you're heating it.
But I wonder if you like cooked vegetables versus raw, doesn't it lose some of the enzymes?
Yeah. But
So-
also could be a positive thing because you're making it more digestible and easier
Sure.
on the gut.
Sure.
So, it's the same reason why we cook meat. You can eat raw red meat, but it tends to be rough on the gut because of it. It's not being broken down for you to consume then. So, like, there's kind of a reason why we cook stuff, why
Sure.
it's come about to be that. And I think the science starts to show that of like, it's because it's easily consumable, more antioxidants potentially, and then less disruption of the gut. Coffee is interesting because it's generally healthy for you if you're getting a good source of it. Like if you're getting crappy, moldy, random whatever, it's
Flavored.
like flavored too. Like Carly said, she went from the bulletproof coffee to like just Folgers, and she wasn't having the energy from it. Then she went back to bulletproof, and like it sparked her back up. It's like, I wonder how much of that has to do with just the quality of it and getting the antioxidants and it having more antioxidants probably. And then also maybe she's able to consume the caffeine a little bit more because it's a better quality. I think that's what we just don't give food the credit for, of like good sources of food versus bad, which kind of goes into like what we're talking about today with protein and stuff too, is like the good sources give you more than just the protein count, to where the bad sources tend to come with more bad stuff that can hinder the benefits of what you're even getting from it. Because like generally coffee is seen as healthy for you, but we just put that label on it and then we don't consider, is it good coffee? Is it sourced good? Is it like doesn't have mold in it? Isn't being mixed with other random crap in it? Like how is it coming to you? All that kind of, like you said, the flavorings and all that kind of stuff, just the quality of it. We tend to go like, well, that's an apple and that's an apple, so they're the same. It's like, well, not really. This apple comes with a bunch of herbicides, pesticides, and bad growing, and also came from, Hungary or something, to where it's been shipped over across countries and continents, and it's had to be frozen and losing nutritional value, versus the one that's grown in your backyard that has no herbicides, pesticides, and no transporting issues. It's like they're not the same thing. You're eating two different qualities of the same food. So
that's where I think also it depends on your individual needs. Like we were just talking about on the walk, I feel like when we were doing carnivore, the quality of my nails was so crazy different. They were so tough and so strong, and I've never had like thick nails. But I'm curious if there was a micronutrient switch, because we were eating mostly red meat then, to where lately we've really just been doing chicken and then like some ground beef, but before it was like pretty much only red meat. That I wonder for my specific needs at that time, or even now, if I would have done better with whatever was in the red meat. Or like we took the was it maybe the heavy metals test?
yeah.
But like the lack of vitamin B that I had, so then maybe having more fish would have been better. It's like all of the types are good, but noticing your body and how does it get affected by specific kinds,
Yeah.
that also could suit you.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you're going off of what you regularly consume, and then typically you're going to have some sort of deficiency in something, which I think tends to be why like I have started to recommend multivitamins, just to try to top you off in a sense, or get something that you're maybe not getting in your regular diet, because it's hard to consume everything possible that you need, especially with the way that our food is sourced now and all that kind of stuff, and just what's what's it put in front of us? You know, like people are eating, you know, you say get a high protein diet, but then people are like, oh, okay, well my nuts have a lot of diet or a lot of protein. And it's like, okay, that's not quite enough. So then it's like, well, you could have a protein shake and that gives you some, but the quality of it isn't going to be as good as you eating meat and, you know, a good source of meat too. But, you know, I think we're trying to talk mostly about protein, but I can guarantee a conversation is going to go into kind of everything. But
well, that's where I'm curious too with me seeing such a benefit from the red meat. I wonder if because I don't get a lot of fat in the other parts of my diet, if chicken was just too lean.
Yeah, potentially. Well, and it's like lower calorie as well. So there could be a calorie issue there. It could be the fat issue of not getting enough fat from it. And there's also just more in the red meat as far as micronutrients and stuff that
benefit those specific things I was noticing.
Yeah, yeah, and are a little bit more essential to that stuff than like what chicken will bring you. Or, I mean, fish has like the omega side of it, which is good, but yeah, just I think we tend to only look at, well, this has protein, I'm going to eat this, but we don't look at all of the other stuff that ends up coming with it that could be detrimental or just not productive, I guess, in a way. It's
like this has protein, but the ratio of protein to sugars and fats and carbs, like your ratios could be funky.
And all the micronutrients too. I mean, it's the people that are just consuming, you know, highly processed forms of protein, you're not getting, it's a thing that we talk about all the time. Like, you're not giving all of the living stuff that you need or that you should be getting from meats and nuts and dairy and all of those living protein sources. You're just consuming a protein shake or, you know, peanut butter that's been highly processed and sitting on a shelf or something like that. There's just more to the food than just it says it has high protein. Well, it's like, okay, but not only for a lot of people, they probably should just start there of like, yeah, most people need more protein. And that's the thing that's talked about all the time of you need more protein. And people generally know that, but I don't think they know the large effects that it could have to everything. I mean, like you said with the red meat of noticing your nails and that sort of thing. And
my skin got way better. It got like so tight.
Well, and your energy too.
Yeah.
Was a little bit better or increased. That has a lot to do with just getting the amount of protein that your body needs and should be having. And especially as you get into older ages, like your why can I never think of this word? The D word. Degenerating. Your body's just degenerating, everything. That one of the major things that ends up killing people is lack of movement, and that comes from not being able to move, which comes from lack of muscle, which lack of muscle is protein, which then how do we stave that off? Well, consuming more protein and also moving, but you need to be having protein. Like, there's so many people that you may be skinny or lean or whatever, but you don't have enough muscle that's going to help you carry yourself into later years in life and be able to continue to move. And even probably right now where you're in your 50s, 60s, and could be even earlier, and you're already having trouble moving and getting up off the couch or doing this and doing the things that you used to be able to do without really thinking about it. Now you're getting more tired, you're getting more sore, you're not able to move as much. It's like, that's loss of muscle. And protein is the major thing to help you preserve that and continue to move and continue to live and have good quality of life.
Well, and I would even say, yes, it definitely helps the older ages, but majority of things that start to get like deplete from your body starts at 30. Like, that is usually a lot of the like your collagen supply, your ability to create the youthful chemicals in your body, like it starts so young.
Yeah, and hormones start to deteriorate. And
I think we only see like, well, this happens at this age. Most of the things, like the events about it that are like menopause, most people think like, okay, well, it happens when you're in your 50s. Like, no, menopause is the result of the last, like, you have several phases before that. We just don't notice it because it's not like, oh, you can see the signs. That is just the event and the result of all the things that happened before. Like it starts so much earlier.
yeah, and you have a ton of control over that. I mean, we talked about your dad a couple episodes ago. It's like he's put on more muscle in his late 40s and 50s that you can still do that. It's not like you turn 30 and it's like, well, I have all the muscle I'm ever going to have, so I might as well be done. It's like, no, you can gain more of it and put yourself in a better situation when you get older. But protein is like it's the number one macronutrient for health. Pretty much. Fat is a close second because of all the hormone stuff, but
so much of the healthy fat you're going to get from protein.
Well, from meat, if you're eating meat, if you're just getting it from crappy protein sources, like, no, you're probably not going to get enough fat. But it's just that thing of whether you're trying to put on muscle, whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're just trying to maintain and keep a balanced lifestyle, protein is so essential to do any of that because it's more difficult to put on and make, and it's the most expensive to get rid of. So when your body's deteriorating, it's going to get rid of the fat before it's going to get rid of protein, if there's enough of it left around. If you're skin and bones, your body's probably going, we need fat because of the hormone balance situation, and like just being able to, your body takes a lot of the nutrients from fat in order to do all of the cellular functions that your body needs, to where if you don't have enough of it, it's going to go like, we got to take from something else. And then it's going to start taking from protein or from your muscles. And then you're going to start to deteriorate and not be able to move. And that's all the issues that I just talked about, to where those are kind of the two key ones. But I think where we're at as a society, the issue is protein. If we were in a situation, or if we were in a society that was all bodybuilders and muscular and trying to get as low body fat, everybody was under 6% body fat, we'd be sitting here talking about how fat is the most important, and you need to be incorporating that and doing more of that. But that's not where we're at. We're 75% of the country's obese and doesn't eat enough protein. So that's a conversation that has to be had. And we just don't eat enough of it. And then we have such wrong, bad advice around protein of like, what is a high protein source or what is a good protein source? And then people end up doing that, and then nothing really happens, or things get worse, and it's all confusing and weird because they're like, well, they said to eat more protein, so I've been having my one piece of salmon and a couple almonds, and now I don't know what's going on. It's like, well, because you're eating a total of 30 grams of protein in a day when you need like almost a gram per body per
you said
pound.
0.7 grams per body weight to be like
0.7 is
minimum.
Yeah, minimum is like 0.7 per pound of body weight. So if you're not at that, you're deteriorating in a sense.
Well, and that would be, I mean, if you're wanting to put on muscle, or like you want to, like, you know, we talk about the bulking and cutting and how that was such a phase for people. If they just up the protein to the weight that they want to get at, which I think is also like, how do you choose a weight? It's like, it should just be, do you like what you look like? But say you're trying to go up in weight, eat the protein for that higher weight.
Yeah.
Not saying, okay, then you want to be lower weight, eat the protein for that lower weight. Well, but you start switching out your calories for higher protein, which is going to give you more calories, or going to give you maybe a denser version of calories. It's like, you're going to get full, and you're going to stop overeating, and you're going to stop eating all the fluff bullshit that processes in your system quickly, which makes you hungry quicker, which then means you're going to eat more, you're going to snack more. the protein to me, at least what I notice in my own body, is all of the things that I think a healthy diet or a healthy, the effort that I put in, I think when I raised my protein or started really focusing on that and then also making it from more meat sources, all of the positives that people are looking for, even aesthetically, that was the first time I noticed it. Like I was putting on muscle easier and quicker. The skin was attaching to my muscle a lot easier. Like I looked tighter. My skin looked healthier. A lot of the skin issues that I was having went away. My hair grew a little bit quicker. My nails grew fast and very strong. It's like, oh, I am showing like the aesthetics of health. I was always eating healthy, but if this is the version that my body can get to, or the level of health that my body could get to, clearly it was missing something.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're kind of just talking about a protein deficiency. And
yeah.
I'm sure that's where a lot of people are at. And whether it's gaining weight or losing weight, you should be at a protein count of kind of like we said, where you want to get to, using that 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. And then how you're going to gain or lose weight is based on the calorie intake. So it's like I can have a drastically different diet of my maintenance is 2,500 calories. I don't gain or lose weight at that, but I'm always eating 160 grams of protein. And then if I want to gain weight, I keep that 160 grams of protein, but now I eat maybe 2,700 calories. And then if I want to lose weight, I'll keep that 160 grams of protein and I will go to 2,300 calories. Like the gaining and losing weight is based on the calories, but your protein should basically always stay the same. It should always be at your body weight or around, and at your target weight or around. That doesn't really change. You don't need to manipulate the protein, how much protein you're getting. That should pretty much stay the same. But it's the calories when you're trying to gain or lose weight that is going to affect those things. To where I think people tend to go like, well, I'm really going to try to put on muscle, so I'm going to start eating more protein. Okay, well, that's not going to matter if you're eating less calories. You're just going to get leaner. To where if you're going to try to put on more weight, you need to focus on the calories, but you need to keep your protein there as well. And then just for general health and maintenance, you should have the adequate protein, because it's all the things that you're talking about. Like my nails get stronger, my skin starts to clear up, and my body gets tighter.
The energy was wild.
Yeah, my energy is increased, like because you're fueling the body properly. You're just talking about a deficiency. And again, in our society, we're super protein deficient all the time because we just don't have the right advice or education about it. You know, people think that peanut butter has a lot of protein. It's like, no, it doesn't. I mean, you're talking about how much peanut butter you could eat in order to equal a, quarter pound of beef. Like, what are we talking about?
You cannot eat that many. You
No,
will get
just be
so
gross.
sick.
Well, and then that goes into the other conversation of quality. Now you're just talking about trying to get as much protein as you can. You're eating a bunch of junk to get there. You're eating protein bars and only drinking protein shakes and all that kind of stuff. It's like, those are supplementation. Those are not the base of what you should be having. It's like the base of what you should be having is whole natural foods where you're getting majority of your protein. And this is where the vegan thing just, I mean, you have the people that are just don't think that it's morally okay to kill animals and eat them. I understand that. But the people that are saying they can get adequate protein from a vegan diet, I don't know what the hell you're eating to get that, because it can't be good quality protein sources. You just can't get enough. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and those people in that type of diet, I know there's been a lot of studies off of how it affects your body, and some people see great changes from it.
Well, I think
I think that's also a unique scenario. That's not majority of people, and there's probably a lot of underlying things that needed to be adjusted with that as well. Like, you're probably deficient in other areas that those types of foods assisted with. because there are also specific kinds of protein that are typically a little bit higher in some of the other nutrients because of where they are sourced, like the greens protein that I have. It's like, yeah, well, a lot of the protein, it comes from certain beans and legumes and wheatgrass. It's like, okay, but those things also have a lot of other benefits that if I could just eat those as well, I would still get the benefits from those too. But I think you're right. It's like, sure, it's okay and it's good and you're eating probably better than, I would say, if you're eating whole foods and you're eating vegan, you're probably better off than majority of our population because you're focusing on your food and you're trying to get good quality things. But to say that it's equal is just not true.
Yeah, no, it's not. And that's where I think the people that even have claimed to have, you know, really great results and they're the healthiest they've ever been on a vegan diet, I think it's just, I mean,
are you healthy or are you just thinner?
Well, yeah, I think it's just flat out baloney. I mean, it's just not.
It's like the keto thing. Sure, you lost weight.
Yeah.
Because you stopped eating so much carbs. Doesn't mean you're healthier.
Well, right, because that keto diet could be filled with processed foods and crap and junk.
Yeah.
If you're on a
Your
keto
calories
diet
went up.
and it's only fruits and or only vegetables and, you know, good sources of protein and good, like, you're only eating whole natural foods throughout everything. Okay, I understand that, but that's just also not common. The vegan thing, the claims that it's so healthy is just ridiculous to me. I mean, there's just, I don't know. Show me anybody who's getting adequate protein that is eating whole natural foods and not sacrificing the quality of their ingredients. Like, I just don't. I don't know. I haven't been able to see anybody that. There's been multiple UFC fighters and athletes that try to do that, and they're the most injured people in the game. It's
yeah.
Like, I just don't.
And I think
it's great to like. It's good to try to do something positive, but then to like lie about the benefits and the success of it is just, you're just full of shit.
And I think you see the lack of equality as those people get older, because you see them when they're young and yeah, they look thin, which that is enough in our society now for you to be healthy. It's like if you are just not obese.
Yeah.
But when you don't have any sort of muscle, now show me that person that's skin and bones when they're 60, 70 years old.
Well,
they are going to crumble.
Yeah. And even
it's hard to maintain that level of muscle just eating that way, I guess.
Yeah, not getting adequate protein. I mean, the person that's not getting adequate protein and going to the gym all the time, like, you might be able to put on a little bit of muscle, but at some point that's going to catch up and it's going to start to deteriorate. Like, you're not fueling your body properly to be able to even maintain what you have.
And I think why it's hard to maintain is it's not even as you get older. It's what we just talked about. It starts when you're younger. It's the other things that you get within those types of protein sources. It's like, yeah, you can't get the same level of, let's even just say collagen. That's a very known piece to beauty and health. And the reason why is like, because it keeps everything youthful. That's a youthful supplement, most people would say. It's in like a beauty category. You can't get that not in meat. It's only found in meat.
I think collagen's fake.
In meat?
I think it's a way for these companies to make money.
I think it's not useful outside of meat sources. Like, I think if you just get it as a supplement, yes.
Yeah, I don't think it does much.
But I think within a steak or within red meat, it's like the whole food thing. It's because you get the other things that help the collagen support your system.
Yeah.
But you need those other things.
Unless you're extremely deficient just in protein in general, I think supplementing with collagen would probably help a little bit.
Sure.
But at that point, if you're that deficient, you should just be eating, or you should just be getting a protein source in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's not that it's collagen that saved your life. It's that you're getting just even a little bit increase of protein.
Yeah.
But I think anything that kind of happens like that and now is just getting sold and marketed like crazy, especially in the supplement space, like that stuff just always throws up a red flag to me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's for very, maybe not unique or I don't know, not small population of people, but it's for people that have a deficiency already. And a lot of the times, like, it maybe has nothing, like that example, it probably has nothing to do with collagen. It has everything to do with you don't have enough protein, period. And this is just increasing your protein intake.
Yeah.
I think that's where protein, like protein powders and stuff, has probably the most benefit or success as a supplement, because we're so protein deficient as a society that actually will move the needle and do something, because you're actually getting more protein. Again, if we were a society that didn't have that problem, protein powders probably wouldn't do much or matter. It'd be like fat powders or something. But you're finding a market where we're already extremely deficient. Yeah, that product is going to have success and actually do some positive things. But again, you got to find a good source of it. I mean, the one that we have now is no flavors and no bullshit, because I don't want all the crap that comes with it. I'm already kind of like, I don't love that it's a highly processed source, but this is something that can help me get to my protein target if I do this, versus having, even more meat.
Well, and that's also,
it's easy, but still, majority of what my protein is coming from is whole natural foods.
Yeah, and that's to top it off.
Right.
Like, we're not putting that first. We're going, did we get our daily requirements? Oh, no. Okay, then we do that. Or we travel. You can't fly with steaks. And unfortunately, with like the jobs that we have and what food we're getting, if we didn't meal prep, most time if you go to restaurants, you're not going to get the level of protein in a meal that would equal like the amount that you would need.
Especially with everything that it's coming with. The breading and the sauces and all the junk that comes with protein.
Yeah. Well, unless you're going to also like pay a crazy amount for it either. That we're cheap, so no. So that's where we can bring that, because you can pack it. You can travel with it. You're still going to be focusing on getting protein. Is it the best quality? No, but is it better in a certain situation where that is the only option? Then yeah.
And I think if you're somebody that is absolutely adamant about not eating meat sources, or just I'm not going to change my diet because I don't want to, then I think the protein thing is the protein powder thing is something to supplement with too. My first advice is obviously eat meat, get as much protein as you can out of those whole natural sources. But if you are really set on not changing what you're doing, then the next best thing is just supplement with it, because you're going to need something. You're going to need more of it. There's too much data. There's too many examples. There's too many people that we have seen that end up starting to deteriorate because they're not getting enough protein, also not getting enough activity. But it doesn't matter how much weightlifting you do if you're not meeting that with a protein intake. Like you're just not going to keep the muscle, and then that's going to end up reducing quality of life and end up, you're not able to move anymore. It's like that's the direction it goes every single time. Mm-hmm. People don't escape that.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about that. Like, I think maybe because where we grew up, the moral conversation never came up, because I think you're also surrounded by a lot of people that either they personally have experience, they personally lived on a farm, they personally know someone that when you're close to it from that point of view, at least in the circumstances where it's not like the aggressive, you're throwing a bunch of animals into bad situations.
Yeah, factory farming
Like,
and treating them poorly.
You see the, not beauty is the wrong word, but like you see the wholesomeness about it. You don't see just the what you see online. It's like, I would say if you're one of those people that just only sees the videos, it's like, well, we also need to be promoting the opposite of that so that farmers and our culture and our society, we need to prioritize quality.
Yeah.
And the only way that the market will change is if we show the market that's what we want.
Yep.
There is more companies probably now than ever that are shipping you quality meats from good farms or regenerative farms, or you have grocery stores that are popping up in in areas that are probably more cities, but the fact that you have those grocery stores that are going to prioritize that. The only reason that happens, or even in grocery stores now, you see a lot of the newer verbiage.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's like, okay, so I mean, I got a shampoo or a conditioner at Walmart that is scent free, that's fragrance free. Like,
yeah.
So a regular company is understanding, oh, people maybe are wanting no chemicals or less chemicals, or it'll be promoted as chemical light or no chemicals or scent free or fragrance free. That is pretty quick that the market is already adjusting to those things.
Yeah.
It's like, so we need to, if we want those factory farms and all that to change, we have to show it. That's what we want.
Yeah. Well, and I think the factory farming thing too is also somewhat, again, they only show the extremes, or they only talk about the extremes of the places that have the worst conditions and poor conditions. There's also, and maybe factory farming isn't the right verb or the right term because it has such a negative connotation now, but there's also farms that produce large amounts of hogs, cattle, chickens that do it in a better way, more positive way. Like, you don't only get good quality meat or, you know, eggs from chickens when there's only 10 of them on the farm and they have 1 million acres to roam. Like, you can still do it in a healthy, positive way, low, like abrasive, all that kind of stuff, and still have a large quantity of produce or, you know, production happening. So I think the factory farm thing also gets this bad rap because we've only seen the really extremes and the bads. But then you have a place like White Oak Pastures, the guy that was on Joe Rogan talking about regenerative farming and stuff, like, he still produces a pretty high clip of animals and stuff like that. So there is a positive way to do it with also a large quantity too. And I mean, the town that we grew up in, well, I grew up in, you were adjacent to, they have their own meat market. The little town does. So it's like you could even find your own meat market in your little town that probably is just sourcing locally and having a little bit better quality from the farms that are around. The problem that always comes, at least to me, is now cost. Is those are typically more expensive than what you can go get at Walmart or whatever. It's, you have to choose. You're choosing the locally, you maybe even know the farmer, or you know that this is sourced correctly and in a better way, versus going to Walmart and I don't know this company or this pack, like this, what they do or where they're from or any of that sort of stuff. I don't know what's going on here, but it's cheaper. So you have to play both sides. You have to figure out what's more important to you or whatever. But when your health continues to deteriorate and become worse and worse and worse, like, you're kind of stuck between those two options. What do you choose? You choose to be a little bit healthier and get better quality source, or continue to shop at the big box place that isn't sourcing their products very well and they're trying to get things as cheap as possible. it's the conundrum that you're sitting in.
So a few things with that too. I think, again, how we shift the market. If we all start buying better quality stuff, just more and better quality stuff will be put on the shelves or be put in the freezers. Like, yeah, because it's going to be, okay, well, people want that. So if we want to make money, we have to give them that. But also, one of the families that I used to teach, they live in Texas, and she was talking about, because one of their kids has like a very extreme food allergy issue or whatever ever since he was born. Like, he would just break out in rashes. So he's on a very strict, limited things that he can eat. He can eat meat, he can eat sweet, like whole foods, how we probably should be eating. That's what his body's like, absolutely nothing processed. He'll freak out. So then they just changed their whole family's diet to that. And she was saying, like, yeah, people always say, well, how do you afford that to be able to eat that way? She's like, we went through our budget, and she's like, we realized majority of our grocery bill was snacks.
Yeah.
She's like, it was healthy stuff, but it was just like, why are we consuming all of this fluff? She's like, so we just cut out the snacks. And she's like, it was an adjustment for the kids and all of us to not eat periodically throughout the day. But she's like, we just cut out snacks. And she's like, our grocery bill has gone down significantly, and the kids actually eat the food. So food is not being wasted. So we feel fine buying better quality stuff because we know it will be eaten when it's supposed to be eaten. We're not throwing things away, and the kids are hungry when it's mealtime. They will eat the good sources of food, and then they're not just snacking all day. And she said if they do get hungry, like, they'll have an apple or a banana or whatever, but most of the time they don't want to stop to eat. She's like, we treat it like a restaurant. Like, our kitchen's closed. Like, if it's not breakfast, lunch, or dinner, kitchen's closed. We're not in there. We're not, like, if we're hanging out or whatever, but they know, like, nothing will be cooked during this time. So I think even price wise, I wonder how much we overeat and spend money on fluff stuff. That's like, well, if you just cut that out and just replaced it with your meal, could you eat more protein, or could you eat more quality meat? Or because it's better quality and it's not just portion size, would you get full?
Well, I think especially with kids, but obviously adults struggle with this too. There's a schedule that's happening in their family. So now the kids know when they're eating. So they aren't probably asking for snacks and to eat and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's the thing we talk about. Like, kids want routine, and I think just people in general do, but kids really exemplify that. They want structure, schedule, routine, that they've just created that with their food and their meals now, that the kids probably follow in line with that pretty easily. They're not asking for snacks all the time or additional stuff or extra stuff. That now you just kind of kill two birds with one stone. Like, your kids aren't bugging you to eat every 20 minutes, and they're eating quality foods, grocery bills going down because you're getting rid of the fluff stuff. Like, I think that's something that people do a lot of the time too, they're just taking their usual diet and budget, and they're just comparing, like, well, I usually get this ground beef, but now if I'm going to go to the meat market that's local, their ground beef is this much more expensive. So, well, I don't want to pay more for it, to where you're not looking at the rest of your diet seeing, like, well, I don't really need the chips and the this and the that, like all the junk bullshit that's in it. If you were to eliminate all of that stuff that you absolutely do not need, now all of a sudden there's room in your budget to get more expensive stuff and better stuff. There's just it's kind of the idea of analyzing each thing that you're eating and going, like, what is this doing for me? And if you don't really have a good answer for it, it's like, why is it even there? Is it literally just to satiate you? Like, that's not a good reason. You should be eating stuff that is giving you nutrients and fueling you. That's where I go back and forth with oatmeal a lot of the time, or just like that sort of thing. Because I'm like, I just don't really feel like this does much for me. And is this literally just for me to feel a little bit more full? Well, I could replace this with something a lot better than just getting full.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I need some sort of food for this, or like I need something for the calories, let me replace it with something that's more nutritious and going to benefit me more. I don't think people do that either, of what is this food doing for me? And you don't have a good answer. Like it should just be gone. Should be analyzing every single thing like that.
Well, and that's the same thing with the Texas families. They take out the snacks. She said, like, it took them like a week to adjust. And it was more,
Yeah.
They said they were hungry probably because it's the thing to do.
Right.
Like,
That's
it's,
their
again,
routine
it's like
at the
their
time.
routine is snacks. So she's like, they will actually fully eat their meal and most of the time ask for more of that meal. It's like, how many kids? And she's like, and we eat a meat source, a vegetable, and a fruit every meal. And that's what they will eat. And every single meal, they're not like, well, but I want this or I don't like this. Like, they will eat it and like it. But she said the energy levels in between the meals was dramatically different. And it's like, well, for someone that maybe doesn't know a lot about digestive, like the health of how your body works, like, well, yeah, but you're putting your body through work every time you eat.
Every time you eat, your blood sugar rises.
So it's
Every
like,
single time.
You're allowing yourself a break. You're allowing your digestive system a break. Towards like, if you're constantly snacking, you're using your energy just to freaking digest the food.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't know, as a society, we don't know this stuff.
And I would say even the price of that, I think we see it with grandparents and older people. It's like your health starts to really charge you as you get older. Or maybe not even as you get older. Think of how many people our age or a little bit older can't have kids.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
now you're spending $20,000+ because your body is failing you. It's like, that's a health thing. That's not something's different now.
But nobody's
Our females are different now. Granted, we're maybe having kids later, but still.
And
like,
nobody wants to look at food for that.
Like, that's more expensive.
Well, yeah.
You having to go to doctor visit after doctor visit, or something's happening with your health, or you're noticing like your things that should be working properly are not. That's way more expensive than your grocery bill.
Yeah. It bothers me so much that we don't want to connect those dots of all of the literally health stuff that we have in our society, in our country, and nobody wants to connect it to what we're eating ever. It's never that. It's always something else. Well, it's plastic and it's this and that. Sure, there's definitely that happening, but you're also eating crap all the time. It's just, I don't know.
Well, and I think
it bothers me so
the
much.
price too. It's not even just serious things, but it's day-to-day stuff. How many people or how many females spend so much money on skincare and better quality makeup because then it covers how shitty their skin is? Like, when I was eating, this podcast, I'm just like, I gotta go carnivore.
Yeah.
It sounded like my life was awesome then.
Yeah.
But when we were doing that, and it was the first time where I really just prioritized protein. That's really what it was. But I cut out all of the other stuff. And I think for my having gut issues, it was probably the first time in a long time where my gut was actually working better. But like, my skin looked great. I'm not going to put money towards day to day of just looking good. My body is working properly, so I'm starting to look better. It's like little things like that. And okay, now my body looks better, so I don't have to prioritize, or I'm not as concerned about how I look, what am I wearing, or if I got overweight, maybe needing to buy workout programs or pay for personal training, or like all of your regular day-to-day stuff becomes better and better quality and easier, that you don't have to spend money to cover up how unhealthy you are. Most of us are just covering up and paying for how unhealthy we are.
Yeah, well, it's the, I don't know, like I guess it's just the lack of awareness of it. Well, I don't want to spend another $1 or $2 per pound for ground beef to get the healthier version, but I'm going to spend $200 a month on skincare stuff. Or I'm going to go to Starbucks every day and get my $6, latte or whatever. So it's like, you're kind of caring, but at the same time, you're kind of not, because you're the other shit you're buying is a part of your budget or whatever that you clearly don't need. You most certainly don't need. So you're kind of going like, well, I can't afford this because it's more expensive, but you can go buy all this other crap that's not doing anything for you. Like, there's a little bit of awareness that needs to happen there too. Of
that to me feels like wasting money.
Yeah, you're just not prioritizing at that point. You're not prioritizing health. You're prioritizing aesthetic with the skincare stuff and all that crap. You want to talk about a whole other industry that's full of shit. It's the skincare and all that shit.
A lot of beauty stuff.
All the beauty stuff is just completely full of shit. I hate those people. It's them and the food industry. Everybody's just full of shit.
Well, that's where I go, I'll control what I spend now so that I'm not forced to pay something I don't want to. It's like, you think the food industry is overcharging us for healthy stuff? Go to a doctor's appointment.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to charge you even worse. And
they're
that's
not gonna,
when you kind of are in like, I have no choice.
And they're not going to help you at all. They're going to just prescribe you a pill that doesn't work and doesn't do anything, doesn't solve any of your problems, and then cut to 4 years later, you now have a different health problem, or you have the same persisting one and it's not doing it. Well, it actually, some pills don't work with some people, so here's a different style of it. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Birth control is such a good example of that. It's like, oh, this one you gained weight. Oh, this one it didn't clear your acne. Let's try the 7 other ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're on 3 different pills what kind of fucking concoction is happening in your digestive system ingesting all these pills? Yeah. There's part of me that I'm like, as the person, you need to have some accountability.
Yeah.
Because like, it's not common sense, but it's like, think a little bit further than the initial thing. But then there's a larger part of me that's like, everybody's trying to trick you all the time. They're just trying to get you to purchase their thing. That's all they're trying to do 24/7. Everything's a multi-level marketing scheme all the time. All they're trying to do is get you to buy their shit. That's it. So how do you completely avoid all of that? Well, whole natural foods are not being marketed to you. Ever.
Yeah. Do you see a commercial about apples?
Yeah, exactly.
Or sweet potatoes?
That's never happening. And if it is, it's sweet potato chips. Oh, yeah. All natural sweet potato chips. Like all natural apple gel in a tube Pouches. For kids. Like that's not food. I'm so sick of these food industry people.
That is a good theme of that. Of your health, your viewpoint should be, what am I looking for, or what am I helping myself now, and what am I helping myself for in the future? I think accountability is hard for people, but we also we're not setting ourselves up for success later down the line. Again, why I say like, okay, yeah, we know these big milestones that happen in our health, but we don't realize how early they happen or how early they start. That it's like, okay, you take birth control. At 21, 22, I'm thinking, well, I don't want to have a kid now, but I will. So how can I make that time of my life easier, less stressful? I'm literally telling my body, don't function in the way that you're supposed to until I want you to, and then I want you to do it perfectly and immediately and with the full health. My body's going to go, oh yeah? Well, you've been telling us for how many years to don't function properly. We don't want you to happen. We don't want this to happen until you're ready for it, I guess. It's like, how many other things, that's just an obvious example, but how many other things are we going, yeah, I'm going to treat you like shit, but as soon as you start to break down, it's like buying a crappy car and then you're getting pissed at it when it starts to break down. Like, well, you've been treating it like shit. You haven't been getting oil changes. You haven't been getting gas on time. You haven't been changing out the fluids or filling up on the fluids. And now you're getting pissed when it's run down. That's what we're doing to our bodies.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much of a aesthetic issue that we have. You don't need birth control for acne. You don't need it, period. And there's so many of these things. There's very few people in few circumstances where you absolutely need a drug or some outside source for you to stay alive. Type 1 diabetes. You have to have insulin.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely no reason for you to have birth control. There's none. It's not you're going to die if you don't have it. The issues is like, so you're going to have acne and you're worried about getting pregnant. There's other solutions to those problems, especially the acne thing. Like
that's
diet,
your body showing you something's up.
Yeah. And you should be doing everything possible to regulate those things on your own with diet, exercise, things that you're putting on your skin, all that kind of stuff to deal with that issue. And we do this with everything. Well, I have anxiety. Here's a pill. You're not going and trying to find activity. You're not analyzing what you're eating. You're not analyzing your sleep schedule. What about
the stimulus?
The stimulus
the
around
caffeine
you?
levels you're having? What kind of caffeine are you having? Now, granted, those things, I think there is a benefit in our culture that we have those things to help you get to a point where you can get better with it. Like, I think to try not to demonize it completely of this can maybe help you get off the edge so that you can somewhat feel regulated to then work on it. But majority of people that we have seen, we have students. It's like, okay, but you're also not doing all of the things. Like we talked with my dad with the testosterone stuff. It's like, there are so many other things that we can be doing first before you are now reliant on this outside source that now you're just going to have to be on that.
Yeah. Well, it's testosterone for guys. It's pretty much all skin and beauty stuff for women. It's you know, the anxiety and ADHD and depression and all that kind of stuff. Like, we're just constantly prescribing stuff instead of trying to figure out the root cause and solve those issues through diet, exercise, sleep, stimulus, you know, sunlight, circadian rhythm, that sort of stuff. Like so many, I mean, you talk about the example with the Texas family and the kids. They changed how they ate and what they ate, and the kids are better behaved because of it. How come these examples continue to come up and nobody is drawing the conclusion or pushing that information of what to do? It's all like, well, your kid's got ADHD, or maybe they're, you know, anxious or something. Like, let's go to take them to the doctor. Like, I'm fully on this thing of like, doctors are just,
they are salesmen.
They don't, and they're not even salesmen. Like I don't even know what they are anymore.
Well, they're salesmen to a point of they have a certain quota of a certain amount of medication that they have to push. So,
well, I don't know if it's so much of that as much as it's the more money for them to make is how many people they can get through. So what's quicker, figuring out and sitting with somebody and figuring out their diet, exercise routine and playing with that, or just writing them a prescription and a pill?
Yeah.
And it's not the solution. It's not the solution to any of it. I mean, it's what the Callie and Casey Means said. The quicker that you can get somebody in the healthcare system, the more money you can make on them. So why wouldn't we prescribe a child with ADHD medication? Because they're now going to come back when they have type 2 diabetes, and then they're going to be getting metformin. And then when they are depressed, now they're going to be on an antidepressant. And then, it's just going to continue to go. And that person is never going to look at diet, exercise, sleep, and all the other shit that we keep mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
It's.
I mean, you want to talk
ridiculous.
about money?
That is the biggest cost for our government is healthcare. If that doesn't tell you anything, the biggest cost is healthcare. That's because they make money off of you, so you continue to go and spend money, and then the government continues to spend more money on healthcare so that they can make more money prescribing you all these medications and all this crap. It's crazy. And now what is it? Something like 50% or more of our tax dollars is going to
chronic disease.
No, not chronic disease, to just the interest of the debt that our government has.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, fucking stop. Like, it's just so stupid to me. And I just don't know. I think it frustrates me because people want to complicate it so much, and they want to say they're different and unique, and they need all these special things. Like, there's something about getting prescribed a medication that I think makes people feel special and different. And it's just, you're full of shit, and you're getting sold something that's bullshit. You just need to eat whole natural foods and go exercise and get good sleep and be out in the sun and have a community and spend time with people and enjoy life and stop stressing and all this type of crap. But no, we would just want to solve it with a pill, and that's not working. Clearly, you continue to go back to the doctor to get more pills and get told the same thing or prescribed a different pill. Like, have a nutrition conversation with your doctor. They don't know anything about it. My brother went to the doctor when he hurt his shoulder. They told him, well, just stop exercising. It'll probably go away. He was like, your solution to my shoulder hurting is to just
get less activity.
Like, how stupid is that? They're literally telling you to be less active. And then you have a nutrition conversation, and it's like, I don't know, try keto or try this. Like, they just go off of whatever's hot during the time.
Yeah, I mean, even for me to get off birth control, like, the fight that it was.
That's ridiculous.
Of like, well, are you sure? Like, let's just try a different one. Or like, there was so much shame being pushed of like, I was woo-woo because of it.
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to push fear of like, well, but you've only been with your partner for how many years, and like, you're young, so you don't know what that's going to mean, and you could whatever. Or it's like they were pushing the health.
The health. Of
just like, well, it better, regulates everything. And I'm like, huh?
According to what?
To where then, okay, change my doctor. And now one of the last times going in and talking about, I'm not on anything. This is my lifestyle. This is what I prioritize. And he was like, more than majority of people coming in here. And my knowledge of my own system is pretty terrible for like what it should be. Like, it's really not that good. So the fact that he says mine is pretty good compared to most people. And I was talking about like in the next few years, like wanting to have kids, and is there anything that I could be, mostly just like, what would you tell me? I'm going to not believe you. Probably just going to do my own research anyways. But like, what are things that I could be doing to prep for this and to get myself and my system in the best shape that I could? And the biggest thing that he was saying was like, majority of women that come in here are on so many medications that, basically saying like, it's not, there's no confusion to why they're having this much infertility. Like, because they're early 20s and have been on these medications for the last multiple years, close to a decade, when they were a kid and they were put on this stuff. That then when we're also moving the timeline later and later, where it's already just probably going to be harder to have kids as you're older, you now have 2 decades plus of being on all this stuff. You're showing, and this is what I say, like, you're showing your body that it's not good.
This ain't gonna happen. We're not doing this.
He's like, it's the same thing of when we prescribe people to maybe eat a little bit healthier, or if they're underweight, why they need to eat a little bit more, or if they're overweight, why they need to lose weight, is your body is smarter than you. The baby that you're going to try to put in there is going to be smarter. It's going to go, oh, something outside isn't good. No, you can't bring a life.
Yeah.
Like, you can't sustain a living and growing thing inside of you if you can't even handle your own self.
Right. Yeah. And it's the same thing for the individual. That's why your shoulder hurts. That's why you're anxious. That's why you're depressed. That's why you have acne. That's why you, I don't know, have bad breath or something. That's why all your issues are there. It's like you're not doing something properly, and that is for you to figure out and to solve that problem, and then you have that data, and then you can move on to the next thing. But people don't want to take the time to try to figure that stuff out. They just want to be prescribed a pill. People would rather be prescribed a simple solution that doesn't work than to take the time to learn something that actually does work. Like, they just want the quick fix, but it doesn't fix. They just want a quick answer, even if it's wrong.
Yeah.
They just want a quick answer. That's why, the shorts are popular. People want quick answers right away. They don't want a long, drawn out solution that is actually the correct information, the right thing. They want a quick thing that basically reduces their anxiety for 2 seconds.
Or have their kid reduced anxiety, or have their kid focus for 2 seconds.
And then a month later, that's actually wrong. And now they learn another quick answer that's not the truth. I'm fed up. Eat protein.
Yeah. I think that's where, I don't know, my theme in the last couple days has just been, what are we not taking accountability for? What am I not taking accountability for? What am I overlooking and not correcting, not fixing, not putting enough focus on because it still is coming up? I think we become adults and these problems stick around, or these personality traits stick around, or we act this way because we were never checked, whether someone else didn't check us or we didn't check ourselves. It's like you don't grow out of those things all the time.
No. And then
adult life happens. It's like, but you're still the brat that you were as a teenager or as a kid, or your lack of communication skills still there. Your relationship skills with people or deficiencies still there.
Yeah, or you're 50 years old and you're just now hearing about how antidepressants maybe don't really do anything, and you've been taking them for 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah. But it's like, okay, so you're an adult and now things are actually difficult. Like, we have to start nipping it in the bud.
But
we're letting it get way too far down the line.
Yeah, well, and it's the consumerism. It's people trying to make money.
Yeah.
It's people trying to profit off of whatever the situation is, whatever the problem is. That's always what it ends up being. You don't need an antidepressant. You just don't.
Well, I mean,
they tried to claim that it's a chemical imbalance in your brain and all that kind of shit. It's like, okay, what? I have more cortisol? Well, there's a way to reduce that. Mm-hmm. I don't get enough dopamine. Okay, well, there's ways to increase that. It's like all those industries are just trying to sell you something.
That business that I have a flyer of on the fridge, it's like, it is a whole clinic basically just to have kids come in and regulate themselves. It's a bunch of activities that will basically allow them a break from all the stimulus, and it's just like working with their hands and doing, like, it's promoted. I should almost get it. Because like some of the activities on there are just like, oh, it's just playing with things that don't make any noise, don't make any sound, and don't light up. Like, that's a business now.
Yeah.
For kids to be emotionally and physically regulated.
And I think that's what's so crazy about
the fact that we need that. Because we do. But the fact that we need that.
Yeah,
like,
and I think
why isn't that happening at home?
Exactly. And that's where my problem with it is.
Now you gotta, again, money. That. You gotta pay for your kid to go to that place.
Yep. You don't need that. You need to just do the right things. We want to get away with doing the bad things. So all of these markets and companies and people trying to sell stuff they're selling products or selling things that quote unquote allow you to continue to have your bad habits and your bad decision making. You know, it's the type 2 diabetes thing with metformin and all those drugs. It's like, continue to eat the way that you are. Here's a drug that covers that all. You know, continue to live your same lifestyle. Here's an antidepressant so that you can continue to live your same lifestyle. It's like, no, you're making bad decisions. You need to change those bad decisions. It's not now supplement something to go along with your bad choices. That's our whole market now. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, what's hilarious to me is that same thing of like that clinic that you're talking about. They'll do that with like iPad games and all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, make your phone go black and white so it's less stimulating. Put your fucking phone down.
Sure.
Like, that's not the problem. It's you're on your damn phone all the time. Or for kids, well, less stimulating games on the iPad. No, take the iPad away.
Right.
Or don't have an iPad.
Screen.
Yeah. Like it.
Do you see those colors and that light in your regular outside world?
Well, just the sounds and the jumping at you and all this stuff. Like, it's all addictive. It's the cigarette companies, tobacco companies becoming processed food companies. Like, they know how to addict people. Mm-hmm. So they just move from one sector to another sector. And that's everything around us all the time. They're just trying to keep you doing the bad habits, but to consume things that are supposed to help you solve your bad habit. It's like, you want to know how to stop smoking cigarettes or using nicotine or whatever? Just fucking stop. It's not by switching to, well, tobacco, non-tobacco nicotine, and then this and then that. It's like, no, just stop. That's the problem. You're doing it. You need to stop doing it. It's simple, not easy.
Yes.
But that is the solution. The solution is not, let me just consume a bunch of other shit so that it lets me continue to do the bad thing, but I'm consuming this other stuff. Like, I'm going to eat a bunch of shitty food, but I take a multivitamin. Well, that's not doing anything.
And that's also more expensive.
Yeah. So now you're just buying even more shit.
And then you say, well, this lifestyle is so expensive. Yeah. Sure. For how you're doing it.
Yep.
We got to go.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Bye.